Hello, my name is Kristen and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am going to be showing you how my propagations are doing. I did a video a while back in which I went kind of crazy, chopped up a whole bunch of plants and put them in my propagation box here. I've been using damp sphagnum moss to root them, and there's been some failures or near failures in the mix, and I'll sort of go over my thoughts on them as I sort of pull them out for you to see. I honestly haven't checked these in probably a week or a little bit more. I've been trying to be good with it, but honestly it's just been kind of chaotic in my life, and I haven't been able to spend as much time fiddling with them as I would like, because I do like to fiddle with my plants. I do have this on a heat mat and it's great. I think it helps promote more root growth, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because it really dries out pretty fast if you leave the lid ajar. And I try and do that maybe every day, every couple days, just to let things air out. I did notice some slight mold developing on some leaves, ever so slight, and then I try and take out any dead matter that happens to pop up, just because that will definitely start to mold and cause issues. So I'm going to be showing you this, and then I did some cuttings and put them directly in soil. They're under my Mars Hydrolite. I'll show you that in a bit, but I wanted to go over this. I will say there might be some wilty things in here because I accidentally left it ajar overnight. Quite a lot of dry spag. Firstly, I'm going to grab, these are my Jose Bueno cuttings. I did chop it a little bit more. I think I originally took 2 cuttings, but now I have 3 because I got greedy. There's this little dude with some awesome roots. These guys have grown pretty fast. Second one. This is the uppermost cutting, the top cutting, and it's put out this new leaf while it was in the box. It's quite a bit smaller than the rest. I don't know if it will start to broaden as it ages. And little tiny roots. I really am kind of in love with this particular cutting. I'm thinking about saving this one for myself and selling these. Like I said, I haven't checked on these in a while. And the roots on this little dude are impressive. Look at that. This is the Epipremnum Shangri-La, and this is just an itty bitty cutting, and it's really growing quite fast. Put out a lot of root development. And Hudson, if you're watching, this is your little baby. And I have a few aberrant form Philodendron rugosum cuttings up in here. So this is one. It's starting to get a little bit mushy at the end there. I might need to cut that top stump off or just air it out more in the box. These guys are doing great. This is the top cutting, and I think I might chop right here once I get some more growth on this upper part here. Oh, Frederica. Hi. Am I paying too much attention to the plants and not you? Where she rabbit kicks the crap out of me. No? You go be nice to your mommy? I wonder if I can continue on with this and pet the cat. This right here is my Syngonium raii, and it has put off all this whip just in this last week. And I have seen raii get kind of leggy, so I'm guessing that it's just sort of stretching for the sunlight, because my main mama plant doesn't have runners quite like this, at least yet. So 3 nodes there with roots, and I propagated this because I kind of want a bushier plant. I'm still thinking about doing that, but I might, once this grows out a little bit more, take a few more cuttings and just really pack a pot. It's the new Build-A-Bear workshop. Pack a pot. This is the Scindapsus Moonlight. I am propagating this from my friend Jess. Hi, kitty. She wasn't able to snag one when the plant farm had a really cool plant drop some months ago, so I was able to snag one for the both of us. Not realizing that the Costa Farms Scindapsus were on the way and much cheaper. I paid $60 for a 4-inch, but oh well, you know, lesson learned. I'm still happy I was able to get it for her, because people have been buying them, finding them, buying them locally, and reselling them apparently for quite expensive amounts. So this is yours, Jess. And then Painted Lady, these wonky fellows. It's really cool because they have sort of reddish tips on them. Little red rocket roots, if you will. These have done pretty good, a little bit slower to root out, but I'm okay with that. I'm very tempted to maybe keep this one and chop up my main mama plant since she's still weird looking. Floppy mess. And there's this one, which again, I think I might at some future point cut a little bit more. And all of these are my Splash Gordon, the bipennifoliums. And these have taken really well to living in the box. Some of these cuttings are rooting a little bit better than others. Oops. Let's see, some really good roots. And after I cut the long whip on my mama plant, she's been putting out so much side shoots, which I'm very excited about. Ah! Hi, baby. Hi, baby. This is kind of a Hail Mary pass here. I noticed a dead vine on my Ceropegia debilis, the string of daggers? I don't know what they call it. String of needles, I think. I see one itty bitty little root happening there, but not, well, maybe 2. I'm hoping to get a little bit of roots out of this before it dies completely. I'm not sure if that will happen, but I hope so. A sad Rhaphidophora crypantha. These guys take forever to root, and I think this one might have gotten a little dehydrated in a corner. He might recover. Some itty bitty, teeny weeny, little turtle vine here. The Peperomia prostrata. Tiny roots developing. I tend to think that this is one that doesn't like it too humid, and I've noticed that when I just put in like a couple of cuttings in damp to moderate soil in my terrarium, which is not nearly as humid as this box, they fare better. So this is one I think I would try different methods for propagating in the future. This is one that did not fare super well because I let the spag dry out. I think it got kind of dehydrated. This is my Syngonium erythrophyllum. It does have ever so slight roots developing. I'm hopeful that I'm really praying I didn't kill this by forgetting to water it. To water the sphagnum, get it moist. I think it will be okay as long as I don't make the mistake again. Just gonna snuggle this back in the moss so it doesn't dry out too much. These are some of my variegated and I think at least a couple reverted burl marks. Some of these I might have to wait and see if they're truly reverted or if it was just kind of a one-off green leaf. But they've got little roots on them. I did take out one of these just plain green burl marks cuttings and popped it in water just sort of as a comparison. And I have to say, at least for the burl marks, the variegated burl marks, they seem to root a lot better in water. And I have rooted them out before and think I would in the future just put these in a little cup of water rather than this wasting too much space in the propagation bin. For some reason it likes water better. So these are the Hestautums or silver swords. I had these two main guys in the box, and then for some reason I got a hair up my ass and decided to cut them again. So these guys have been going a couple of weeks, cut off the plants here, and they've got some cute little roots. Again, I'm thinking I might sell some stuff. These might just be gifts for friends. Doing pretty good in the propagation box. Really starting to fill out quite a bit and get some new growth right there. So now I was very excited to see how this would do, and it's doing quite well. This is the Philodendron elegans or elegans, and it had a really tall whip of new growth, and I didn't really like the looks of it, so I decided to propagate it. Look at all those little rooty tooty fresh and fruity bits. I love it. This was the top cutting, and I had as well a really long stick essentially of just bare stem, and this was because a couple of leaves fell off in the midpoints of the plant. Don't ask me why, they just decided to die on me. So I slapped this bad boy in here, and it's getting some really nice roots. And I just noticed today a little leaf point there. I really am excited to see if it will put out a lot of leaves or just a couple of random ones like that, but this is very exciting to me. It did have some slight rot where the old leaves fell off. So I just stuck it so that it was resting on top of the sphagnum and that part was not buried under it. This is my mottled Syngonium, as well as this. I just pulled a dead leaf off of this cutting, and it has some new growth happening and some roots. This one has some mild rooting going on. You may remember I did take more cuttings of this guy, but they were just not happy in here. I'm not sure what was going on, so I could have just left the lid open for a little too long, and I am suspicious that maybe being in here so humid and then suddenly getting some fresh air really kind of freaked it out a bit and it started to wilt. I'll show you those cuttings in a little bit, but they're recovering. One is doing really good, the other is debatable. So I'm not sure that I like this particular method for Syngonium either. I think that maybe just water propagation is the easier way to go. Admittedly, I haven't rooted a lot of syngoniums, but that's just the impressions that I'm getting for my situation, is that just a cup of water is better. One of the most frustrating and difficult plants for me personally to root, and that is the Monstera carstenianum Peru. I have tried multiple ways of doing it in the past. I've tried just like water propagation, which didn't do tremendously well. I've tried air layering, which admittedly part of that was my fault. I probably let it dry out a little bit too much, but this isn't a remarkably slow plant to get roots. And you can see the cutting was like this. The older growth here doesn't have any growth on it for roots. This top cutting, however, has some nice nodes going on, at least at the top. I suspect that this is one that might do best with the newest growth for propagations, and that it's a little bit more vigorous and likely to root than the older wood, I should say, since it's not really a woody plant. These little fellas are Philodendron camposportianum. This is going to be a future trade with another YouTuber I'm very excited about. I am going to say I don't think camposportianum does well in this method either in comparison to water propagation. I propagated one for Suzette. We did a pretty epic trade last year, and I started her one of these, put it in water, and honestly, it was light years ahead of these guys as far as rooting. So another one for team water propagation. Julia, you'll probably get a kick out of this if you happen to be watching, but this is the beautiful variegated Monstera standleiana. I want to say it's like the Aurea variegated. I have been trying since probably summer of this past year to get roots on it. Nothing I did seemed to stimulate it to make it grow. Finally, I plopped it in like a little glass jar with spag and put like the plastic lid over top, and the extreme humidity finally made the roots pop. And again, it grew those roots primarily at the newer growth. I still haven't gotten any at that older growth, so it might sort of be like the Peru in that it wants to grow more on the new growth than the old, but it's finally doing something, Julia. And this is my newest little baby leaf that just emerged. I am very happy about this. I'm not going to get too cocky with it yet, since it's had so many ups and downs. This is one that I did experiment with the cakey paste, and I do notice that right here and here it's slightly swollen, so I'm not sure if that might be influenced by the cakey, and I'll see some growth on that, be it roots or leaves. I suspect more of like a leaf growth. I am excited about this. It has been so long, and I gave up hope on it several times. I do think I'll probably put this in a terrarium, maybe a mini terrarium, when the time comes to pot it or transition it to soil, just because I find that it is very unhappy in low humidity, and I want to make it as happy as possible. I'm gonna stuff everybody back in here, make sure everything's damp enough, and then show you my other cuttings. We're in the kitchen now, and I'm showing you my water propagations. This is one I took not too long ago on my Monstera Adansonii. And if you can see, there's a root right there starting, and I would take it out, but it's wedged in there pretty good because it wants to flop otherwise. Some philodendron micans, looking pretty good. I've had it growing in water for a number of months now, and I should probably pot it up. This is mainly what I wanted to show y'all. I mentioned plopping some burl marks in here and syngonium. This is a syngonium that took it the hardest. I don't know if it was just the shock of maybe leaving the lid open a little too long and it just going into shock from so much humidity to so much fresh air. It's not doing anything at the base here, but it is putting out some new growth right there. This was such a cool top cutting too. I'm very disappointed that it didn't do better. This is the second cutting, and you can see it's got a nice root started, and it's really nice and perky. I think in future I'm going to just stick to water propagation for syngonium. They seem to prefer it slightly better, at least in my opinion. I'd love to hear how you guys propagate them. And this impressive boy, can you see all those roots? Literally, they've started to grow up and out of the water. But it's just crazy to me how much this plant prefers water propagation and how much faster you'll get growth in the water. So here is the other propagation area I have going, and this is kind of a mixed bag for me again. It's under the Mars Hydrolite that I got, and I do turn it on still, but not quite as frequently just because it's so bright. I would definitely say if you're going to be getting one to have it either in a room that's not going to disturb your sleep or in one of the grow tents that they have because it is intense. That's a great thing for growing plants. It's just not a great thing for getting sleep. And my schedule's been all over the place. It's been hard to keep it on. Those were my little experiments with lithops from seed and succulents, and that was just honestly overall a flop. That's pretty much what I have left, the lithops. The little bunny ears, I had a bunch, and now I have one that's probably milting. I don't know if it was from dampening off, or maybe I just didn't keep it wet enough. I'm gonna move past that because it makes me sad. So on to the other things in here. I have some Cissus amazonica doing okay. I mean, I don't know that I'm great at propagating Cissus. They're alive. Those are some cuttings. And I also have in here some rather dry micans and Siltepecana. So I need to get some water to these ASAP. Some of the plants are pretty hydrated, some are kind of dry. I like the fact that I don't have to get them transferred over and adjusted to soil. They're already in soil. But I think that they grow a little bit faster and there's less monitoring if you start them in water. I definitely prefer both the Siltepecana and micans, starting them off in water to soil. So that will be today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, found it interesting. I know I've been slightly obsessed lately with propagation box videos from y'all, so it's one of my favorite plant genres at the moment. I would love to know what you've been propagating, what methods you find most successful, what plants respond best to what. Oh, I have literally had something in my teeth this whole time. Okay, well, I guess you all saw what I had for breakfast. That will be it for today's video, guys, as always. And now I have it on my face. What the heck? So, as always, stay safe, healthy, and safe. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.